I mean, to me, he looks like a guy that he's not quite there yet, but he's as good a prospect as pretty much anyone else outside of, I'd say, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Chalk It Up Sports said, what's your honest assessment of Jalen Hurts' development so far this season? In terms, all right, if you want me to be critical about what I see from a film perspective and being a former quarterback and a quarterback coach, the deep ball's got to get better, man. He's throws from a really bad, base on his deep balls. There are times that you'll hear these things where they say heel clicky. It just means that his feet are coming together too close together right before he delivers the football. There are times that he does not throw the ball with really great anticipation. I think what he's trying to do down there is instead of throw to a marker. So like say you're throwing towards the left hash mark if you're on the left side, right? So you're going to throw to that left hash mark. Instead of doing something like that and driving the football with purpose, Jalen tries to put a little too much touch on the football, and that causes the ball to kind of flutter there. And that's why people will say, like, oh, Jalen doesn't have a good arm. Like, no, he's got plenty of arm strength. Arm strength is not Jalen's issue. He's got to get better at anticipating and pushing the football. His base gets off. Like I said, the deep ball has got to improve from the base standpoint. I will say overall, he's got to be a little better with throwing receivers open. And I thought we saw elements of that last week, like where I thought like, oh, wow, like this is good. This is really good to see on film. Like I see some nuance to the young man's game right now. So he's got to develop and be a little bit more consistent with throwing receivers open instead of waiting for a receiver to break open. You kind of have to have that rapport with the guy that you have out there and then, see where it goes. I think that it would be smart of the Eagles to keep playing Greg Ward Jr., although he's not an explosive guy. He's not going to give you that type of offense. What he is good at doing is creating separation, and that's a guy that could really help Jalen Hurts develop that kind of rapport with somebody, and you could probably start seeing Jalen Hurts actually anticipate more and put the ball out there for him. Those are the things I think he really needs to work on. I think he's gotten so much better at reading coverage. I'm not saying that he's perfect. He still makes mistakes reading coverage, but I see drastic improvement there. He's getting a lot better, and we saw that in his explanation where he's clearly being coached up, and you see the aspects of being a coach's son come to life when he gave you that explanation on what happened on the goal line in that play, right? Where he's like, look, they're running cover 7. Like, I can't anticipate that they're going to blow their coverage and Goddard's just going to be wide open in the corner. They're playing Meg down here on this receiver. I'm supposed to go to a man coverage beater versus this cover 7 look. The problem was they were bracketing the inside, receiver on the opposite side, which kept the safety right where I wanted to throw the ball. The only criticism I would give him on that is throw that ball with anticipation, and maybe you have a shot at the end zone. But I thought that he's gotten so much better at really reading coverage and understanding what's going on. I thought he's gotten a lot better. And I also think he's getting better at sliding the pocket. There were some times where he was definitely exiting the pocket too soon early in the season to where it was getting a little frustrating. Like, hey, man, you got to hang tougher in the pocket longer than this. And I do think that what we see now is a young man he's trying to look downfield. He's keeping his eyes downfield, which is quite impressive recently. I mean, to me, he looks like a guy that he's not quite there yet, but he's as good a prospect as pretty much anyone else outside of, I'd say, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Those are the only two guys I would elevate above him of the recent draft classes that I think right now. I'm not saying the other guys can't surpass him, but in terms of like what I'm seeing, you could put him in the conversations with the Zach Wilson, who's not seeing the field well. Zach Wilson's got a great arm. He's a kid that'll take risk, and he's got good ball placement, but he's got a tendency to overthrow the ball, and he gets picked. He's as good a prospect as Zach Wilson. He's as good a prospect as Tua. He's as good a prospect as Mac Jones. He's as good a prospect as Lance out there in San Francisco. He's as good a prospect as anyone else who's been drafted outside of those other two quarterbacks. So, I mean, I think that it was, all things considered, I think Jalen Hurts has done a great job putting in the work in, and I think that, honestly, the coaching staff's done a great job putting work in.